we want to look at some physical activities, as in test beds. We've been talking conceptually. We've illustrated what's happening in various places around the world. And I thought it was really important to look at how you go about creating the evidence base that's going to inform change. Because at the end of the day, you can have all the best ideas, but you need to spend more money, and you need to be able to show that there has been proper impact, both socio and economic.
Thank you very much. So nice to meet you all. I'm Clémence Martin-Beaumont. I'm the Living Lab Manager at Connected Places Catapult. So although my title says Living Lab, we are actually promoting and overseeing all types of testing approaches, so going from living lab, test beds, and other forms of testing approaches, and really trying, as you said, to make things happen in the real world, and to convince stakeholders around tangible experimentations. So today I'd like to speak about test beds, and specifically a program that we're running called Homes for Healthy Aging. So what do we mean by test beds? So although I'm sure that many of you knows that, and often also we have different definitions to it as well. So at the Catapult, we like to consider that a test bed is really an approach that removes barriers to testing, and that gives innovators access to user groups and real-world context, which are really actually key to just try out solutions and see how they perform in the real world by convening the right people around I would say the table, but actually here in this case, for instance, around the houses, but around like the actual context of a solution. And it's really about removing risks and removing the usual risks that you could take to innovate, and really testing innovative solutions. Testbed can be facilitated in either a controlled or uncontrolled environment, and these are really the advantages to just adjust and test at small scale with a small group of people before actually just deploying at larger scale as well, and really learning from all the stakeholders and the potential end users as well. So here are like few examples of what a test bed can be, and in these contexts are Homes for Healthy Aging. So for instance, we've been recruiting a small number of participants to use and test solutions in their daily context, in their daily life, and in their homes, to see how it works, how it answering their needs, aspirations as well. We could use an area of public realm to test solutions in the public space as well, and see how they're performing, how the public space is fitted or not as well for this solution, and how things needs to be adapted. We could as well establish a community, a group of people together in an empty shop space, for instance, and build a community around that to actually shape new ideas and try out solutions and exchange ideas and learnings as well around that. And what we've done as well, and what we're doing still, is we could equip carers with new technologies, new solutions to support their work and how they are providing services as well. So here are examples of what a test bed could be. Just next slide, please. Am I switching it? Yeah, that's it, that's me. So we've developed for this Homes for Healthy Aging program test bed framework, which is really similar to some approaches that we've been presented today, which is based on design thinking, service design methodology, but was a way to really convince stakeholders and clarify the journey that we were going through together, with specific activity at each stage as well. So we've structured these test bed framework in three main stages. The first one being really key, and that we call the innovation foundation. So here we are working with local partners in the case of these Homes for Healthy Aging program, and I'll go through it after. These were local authorities, local universities, and potential end users, so older adults themselves as well. So we meet all of these people, these stakeholders, to actually understand the challenge. So when we speak about homes and healthy aging, what does it mean actually in their local context, with their local community, and looking at their data as well, and really trying to better understand their challenge and what needs to be addressed through a potential testing approach. Then this initial stage also encompasses testbed design, so really looking at, okay, what are your local capabilities in terms of spaces and testing environments that you can offer access to, and who could be the potential testers, really defining the capabilities. Then moving to the solution, so either designing a solution or picking a solution. In our case, we've been running open call with innovators and SMEs, and then really all of the test and learn, obviously. So really being here to support all the participants, the stakeholders, the innovators, the testbed hosts as well, to work together, collaborate together, and come up with a robust experiment plan to then test their solution in real life settings for a number of weeks, and gathering results, evaluating their intervention as well, and obviously then looking at all the results to measure the potential impacts and draw conclusions and share learnings around all of that. So this is the methodology that we've used. I'll just move quickly. So for our Homes for Healthy Aging program, we've demonstrating the impacts of this approach by launching 5 test beds across the UK. We partner with 5 locations. So these are the locations and the challenges that we've been addressing. So reducing social isolation and loneliness in Northern Ireland. In Sunderland, we've been looking at addressing cold and damp housing conditions. All of that, obviously, with the focus of older adults and the variety of personal, like persons and living conditions as well. And now in 2022, we have 3 new locations, which are Leeds, Essex, and Brighton and Hove. So in Leeds, we're looking at improving health and well-being, and through social connectedness. In Essex, improving the efficiency of care provision. In Brighton and Hove, building resilience among unpaid carers. So these are the test beds that we've been launching, and we've now we're really trying through these test beds to move towards a more integrated and system thinking approach. So really trying to join all that together in placemaking and housing as well, to really make sense of all of that and move towards better impacts and outcomes for people. So here are all the partners that were actually involved in launching the 5 test beds, are still involved in launching the 5 test beds locally, also with partners who helped with the initial research, and the ICO who's supporting the SMEs with safe and data management and ethical data management. Here we have examples of our events in Northern Ireland last year, where we had innovators, businesses testing and presenting their solution to older adults, potential end users for them, who were visiting the event, and it was really valuable to see how fast they're all learning from each other, and how valuable it is as well for businesses to be directly in touch with potential users. And so to just finish on our great businesses that we've been engaging with, and actually we have 2 businesses in the room today, so Center Robotics and Treasure Times as well. So we've been working last year with 17 businesses who tested their solution with older adults. And this year we're working with 12 businesses who are testing their solution as well to solve the Leeds, Essex, and Brighton and Hove challenges. And we've onboarded the SMEs just lately, and we're now actually refining, helping them to refine their experiment plan to make sure it's it's really valuable for all, that they'll be able to learn from it as well, and that it's safe as well, obviously, for the people who will be testing their solutions. So we're quite excited to see what's coming, and we're really happy as well to be here, because we know that through these approaches we're learning a lot, and we can see how much all the learnings can be applicable in different contexts, and how much it makes sense potentially to just feed that into the building of the new standards as well for neighborhoods. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I will tell a little bit about the Shapes project. So Meg gave an introduction in the morning. We develop many technologies, and we try to connect them to the areas of life. So as was said earlier, the most important are the people and not the technologies. So it's important to bring them together. And we have many smart technologies, like we see the whole day. But it's important to connect the people with the technologies. You can also orientate on the HWO flower. These 8 domains for age-friendly environments are all connected, and many items are also used in the Shapes project. So I will show you some examples on the pilots. So in total, we have 25 use cases, which are nearly almost all running. And so we will see with the participants how it works. And so the first thing is outdoor environments. And Shapes did it in that way that we designed some personas. So here you see Roberto. He's a little bit affine to techniques and uses his smartphone. And then with the Access Earth platform, he can find local shops, for example, or you can use other digital technologies like magnifying glasses when you go out shopping. And so they will help you with the outdoor environments. Then we can have more safety at home. We can have monitoring of our applicants, if the light is switched on, if the water is running. So you can see if the person is at home. And if some ambient things don't change for a long time, we can also alert somebody. For example, here, Isabel is living alone, but her son will get some alarms if maybe the water is running for 2 hours or so. We also can be part in the social participation. We can chat with other people. So I think the most important, I show some technologies which were shown the whole day. But as I said before, or Meg said before, we have to, or also what the sense is to bring this together. So many people have many good ideas, but it's important to bring them together. So this should be the overall aim of today. Yes, we can have chats, we can book social events over this Shapes platform. You can have physical activity at home, maybe some dance move or other things which we also see, some camera games. Yes, and we want that everybody takes part. So we have also one persona, this Jada, who is nearly dependent on alcohol, and he does not want to go out. And also for these people, we have to think about to find solutions. Maybe he does not need the same solutions as others, but even for him, the value of a multi-generational setting is would be good, because there will be more social encounters, more communicative spaces. Yes, then you get access to health, like if you use some wearables, which we all know already. You can measure your heart rate or your blood sugar. And yes, here's also some pictures about the community and health services. You can, this person, Rosen, she is not very good in walking, so she can have an assistant robot which leads her. And no, it's my last slide. All these technologies can help you. You can survive. You can see your own health state, like how was your sleep at night, or how many sports did you do yesterday. But that all these technologies work together, we need standards. So this is what we are talking about today. If every partner from every European or worldwide, so when we want to work together, we have to design or think about some standards. And it's clear that the standards sometimes are living. And so I'm very glad to be here. And yes, that we can find this way together with the standards.
The politics within standards are a bit of a minefield, and I'm very new to this. So what I do recognize is that you need to have as many organizations on board as possible, because one, BSI, by way of example, could create a standard and then watch what other countries do with it. But actually, to get a standard which is designed through consensus is something else altogether. That's what we're trying to achieve. And another way of describing that is harmonization, which is your word, isn't it, for what you're trying to achieve, which is to connect the dots between the living labs. So there are similarities to Timo's work, and I'm again delighted that you've come from Finland today to share your project, and also to extend an open invitation to get UK companies to be involved with the Horizon 2020 project, which is really quite unusual. So Timo, could you? Thank you.
So happy to be here today. A lot of nice discussion and talks already. And I've been noticing also a couple of things here. You are talking about test beds, we are talking about living labs. I actually did a couple of years ago a study where I analyzed the kind of a user-centric or user-driven type of research approaches. Today I've been finding 92 different terms for that. And the number is growing. And the problem is that we as a scientific community, we want to be inventing new terms. And if I come from this domain, let's say I come from the living lab domain, I promote that. But many cases, I don't borrow the information and the knowledge from the different disciplines. And that's the problem, because we know already that, let's say, a testbed research has certain achievements, living lab research has certain achievements. So that's the challenge in here. And that's the whole idea about the harmonization and standardization. And today I'm talking about the Vitalize project. So this is kind of a listed that what we are actually trying to achieve with the Vitalize. So basically, Living Lab is a research infrastructure, and we are kind of an ENOL associated project. So ENOL stands for the European Network of Living Labs. Even though it says European, it's actually a global, but the majority of the living labs still are from the Europe. So basically, we want to be offering an open access to this research infrastructure in a way that the companies, researchers have easy access to there. And it's actually quite a bit challenge, Because if you call one living lab or another living lab, they are talking about the similar things with the different words. And it's sometimes like, I was really liking the pint example today, what is a pint? It's a different sizes. So what we are trying to achieve in a way that if you call a living lab and you're on ordering a workshop or whatever, it would be more like a McDonald's way. You go to order a Big Mac and meal with the fries or the Coke, or you can select the size of the Coke or whatever. You know what you're actually getting, and that's really important. So basically, it's the open and easy access to this research infrastructure. So basically, we have 17 different infrastructures, but we're also doing during this project kind of a joint research actions. So basically, we are testing our own, the processes, what we are claiming that we should be doing. We are using those joint research actions as a test bed or living lab environment for testing those things. And throughout that, we are harmonizing the way of how we work. But we are also offering trainings, people, because we want to be enlarging the community of living labbers. So we are running the summer schools. We have different kind of educational activities for those. And we are also building up the master degree course for living lab, basically integrating all the key aspects that you would be knowing about the living labs. You call that course, then you should have the capabilities to run your own living lab, or at least kind of doing a living lab research. But there's also some activities relating to the ICT tools in a way that we can be easily sharing data, open data between each other. So we are focusing on rehabilitation, transnational care, and everyday living environments. I'm not going through because it's so little time today for that, but there's a link in the presentation for the scientific papers which are actually describing the research protocols for each of those studies. And actually many of those studies are, because for example, everyday living lab environment study involves 5 different case studies, and most of them are transnational. Thinking about the health and well-being, the research doing in different countries, it's a bit challenging because of the different regulations. So that's a big, because I'm not only doing the work in the health and well-being, but this is probably the most difficult environment because of all the ethics and the regulation stuff. But now, big news for you. You can join. We have open calls already. One open call is gone. Now we are on the second open call. So you could be accessing one of those or many of those 17 infrastructures. We are sending out 4,100 euros to do that. And it's pretty simple in a way. What you have to do, you do a submission throughout our website. The first deadline is by end of this month, and the second deadline is end of the next month. If you get in that timeline, you will have an access to the actual research in the spring next year. So the application is not that difficult, and you could be kind of seeing all the information over there. And I really want to highlight that it's a really good opportunity to come to Finland or some other countries in Europe, and also one in Canada. And then think about this harmonization of the services and what we're actually doing. This is actually, the list in here goes actually way down. And now we've been listing the different living labs, what we are in this Vitalize project. That was already quite a huge job for us to, first of all, that getting some kind of level of agreement about, what kind of services they would be under the co-creation. So we have a wiki page which actually includes the descriptions of these services. But now it's much more easier already this level to understand, okay, Laura is offering co-creation sessions, expert opinions and advisory services or whatever. And now, once we have a common vocabulary between the researchers and our customers or whatever, then we right away understand that, okay, co-creation session is a half a day or 1 day meeting or whatever, and it goes this and that typically involves 20 persons, so it's a big workshop, it might be a 40 or whatever. So you get the understanding about what is that. And also, in a way, this study we've been kind of identifying that what kind of risk, because this focus is also like a researchers could be doing. So what kind of researchers would be interested in using this particularly Living Lab services. And when we talk about the harmonization process, it's like I said earlier, it's a bit difficult process in a way. This is the process that what we are following. Basically co-creating, then trying to achieve a consensus between the persons who are involved in a way. And then what is a consensus? There's not actually a clear definition that when we are achieving a consensus. Is it a 50%? Or do we call like a supermajority consensus, which is like 66% or 70, 80, 90, 95? For us, we've been defining that 70% is a kind of the consensus level we are trying to do in a way. But in certain cases, okay, if it's over 50, we could be, if the body is agreeing that that's consensus, then it's okay. Then we implement the things, then we revise and adjust and do another iteration. And I think this is really important to highlight that whatever we do, either when we are harmonizing, there will be a multiple iterations. Very simple example that what we did, that we were defining a kind of a taxonomy or classification for the technical devices that could be used to collect data in this kind of health and well-being environments. So we did like 3 iterations throughout the Delphi study. Delphi study is a method that you have a bunch of the persons in a panel, and they don't know each other, and they're using they are anonymous, and they are they're ticking the boxes or giving a comments or whatever, and then we kind of analyze the results of that first round and feed that back to the panel, and then do another one and another one. And basically you should be following the process as long as there's a consensus, or just stopping when it's not anymore valid. And then it's kind of I think this is final slide, about what we are actually harmonizing. So we are different things. The one very important thing was that, for example, that the lexicon, what kind of terms we are actually using for that. Then we are thinking about the research and development services, about the innovation process, about the research process, what kind of a business model Living Labs is actually following, what is the infrastructure. There are actually 4 different types of infrastructures, what you can do, and the data collection applications and devices, the methods and the tools, like what is a workshop, devices and tool technologies, and validated scientific instruments, like, if I'm measuring the user experience, what kind of questions am I actually using, and which one. It's basically a thing that car crash tests, for example. That it says 5 stars or 4 stars, exactly that what they've been achieving. And of course, the key idea in here that later on, we might have an understanding about that when you are doing this testing process, that if you exceed a certain threshold, there's a more likelihood that it will be actually a business success for you. Or in a way that if it goes below certain thresholds, you should be, the understanding that it's no way to go. But now we don't actually have that, because everybody is using different scales and instruments, and you're measuring that in Finland or UK or whatever, and there's no way comparing. And if we have this big open data about these different cases, we could actually do that in the future. Yes, but thank you. This is my presentation.
There's 2 questions I'll throw for all panelists, so choose which you answer. So the first is around all the test beds and the living labs that we've heard a lot about. Clearly, there's a lot of things that are being tried and tested but not working. So rather than someone repeating those errors, how can people tap into those kind of learnings that are out there? And then secondly, another good question online, should we not be designing for the future rather than asking the over 60s of today what good looks like for them? So throw any of those 2 questions to the panel.
Timo.
I could start in a way. In most, I think that the key difference between the test bed and living lab is that the living lab is emphasizing more on the co-creation phase in the beginning and understanding than the needs. But still, if we do a project with the company, in most cases, they come to the process too late. They have the almost ready product. And when they come over there, it's not actually working either because the functionality is not that, and in worst case, the needs it's trying to solve, it's not existing at all. So the first questions, my answer would be in a way that you should be being involved with the living lab and testbed process already in the very beginning when you understand the needs. And the other one is that because I also am doing the foresight studies in a way, and then there is the two things, let's say when the open innovation and user-centric innovation became kind of a mainstream. So we have this kind of a thing that now everybody is doing that. But also there's always this technological driven kind of the things that nobody was asking no user was asking that kind of a service or solutions. So that's why we need also that. I think the mic is coming. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Simon?
Yeah, I think it's important, or in Shapes we also asked at the beginning for the needs of the people. And I think here you see again that it's important that you have a big group of participants and diverse people. So if you have a big number of participants with different backgrounds, then you get the best ideas, and so you have a less risk of doing some faults or inventing some solutions which will not be needed.
About the first question about learning from failures and sharing them as well, I guess that there's a big shift that we all need to just do and have it around like the cultural mindset as well, about talking about failures and being proud actually of talking about failures as well, because obviously what we say to the businesses and the partners joining us in this great program is really to be quite open to fail, and we always say it's better to fail quickly to learn actually from that as well. So I guess that there's a lot around the dissemination about these learnings, and obviously I call that failures, but it's just like learnings around how to refine your solution and to move in the right directions. But there's a lot, like I guess, to change on the business market as well, for businesses, SMEs, young innovators to be proud to say that they've done these process, that they've learned from their failures, what were the failures, and for investors as well to listen to that as well. But definitely it's something that we need to move towards. And for the second question as well, I guess that it's a very valid question that we ask ourselves as well. How can we test solutions for tomorrow with the generation of today? Yeah, once again, it's I think a lot around the dissemination, crossing the learnings from these approaches with technology trends analysis and horizon scanning, and share that with in living lab settings, in more co-creation approaches, to see what the generation of tomorrow wants as well and our desire. But yeah, I hope this is answering the question.
No, it's brilliant. It's a collaborative approach, and I think you want to say something to me.
Maybe now it's working. Yeah, because you were talking about the diversity. A few years ago, I wrote one paper about the diversity management in open innovation processes. And one key thing about over there is that when we increase the diversity of the participants who are joining the co-creation or whatever development process, at the same time, the task conflicts between the players is increasing because we don't know each other, we don't understand each other. It takes a long time before the group actually start to kind of redeeming the benefits of this diversity and the co-creation. And that's sad thing, because in many cases, what we do is that you get the public funding for a project. And once you get it running and it's actually working, the funding ends. And a majority of the living labs are currently run because of the public funding, based on the project funding that you apply for EU or the national funding. And that's a big challenge and big problem.